What if music became just a bunch of noises? What if memories became static? What if you were stood in the dark, facing the door to your own death as the confusion engulfs you whole?
Alzheimer's disease is a brain disorder that slowly destroys memory and thinking skills, and eventually the ability to carry out the simplest of tasks. It's hard to even imagine what it must be like to suffer with the condition, especially being in the right state of mind and being in youth.
Everywhere at the End of Time is a 6-hour-long ambient experimental project by James Leland Kirby, otherwise known in this case as the Caretaker. It represents the 6 stages of dementia and Alzheimer's, through the use of classic ballroom melodies from the silent era. Upon first glance, it appears to be relatively charming, peaceful, and nostalgic. Yet if you were to take a full listen to this behemoth of a project, it's revealed that there is a dark side to this music. After being inspired by articles relating to music and dementia patients, James created the 2011 album known as An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, but followed it up promptly in 2016 with the first stage of Everywhere at the End of Time. Each stage was released around 6 months apart to simulate the actual amount of time that dementia would take place in. While Everywhere at the End of Time remains relatively underground in the music scene, it's amassed a plethora of videos, theories, memes, and speculations behind the meaning to it all. Today, I want to take a deeper look into Everywhere at the End of Time, into dementia, the work of noise ambience, and the artistic representation of death. I came across this project in 2021 with the F&F mod. Yes, I know, not a good start, but oh well. It came back to me one day when I got a recommendation for a song known as J1 Post-Awareness Confusion 3. Yes, and you thought your song titles were weird. I listened to all 21 minutes, and to me it just sounded like some strange ambient drone music with the occasional white noise, which I found to be extremely overbearing and obnoxious. Aside from that, it was just the average ambient track for me, and I thought nothing of it. Come around 2023, I watched a bucket of Jake's video on it, and all the pieces somewhat connected. I then basically became obsessed with this project, and was fascinated at how morbidly interesting it was. Yes, a musical representation of a terminal mental illness. It was just fascinating. I never had the intent to listen, because albeit, I knew what it would do to me, but I couldn't call myself a fan if I hadn't. So one day, I did just that. I loaded up a single-player survival world and listened to all 6 stages, and yeah, it broke me. But only one song managed to make me cry, and that was highly unexpected. I left around halfway through Brutal Bliss, so I never got to finish the full album. Alas, not finishing the album drew me even closer to it, because I was just so extremely and deeply fascinated, I had to re-listen again and talk to someone else about it. At first, I told my mate EGOLEM, as he has a basic appreciation for music, and he also might have been interested by the sounds. However, he is a pussy and not emo. So then, I reached out to the most emo and people-smart person I know.
I am not emo.
My girlfriend. And I was really worried that this was just another thing I bored her with. But to be honest, the roles reversed, and by stage 3, she just became a genius out of thin fucking air.
It's the guy that was flirting with me. Wait, the first song's twice in this? It is literally someone learning a song. They just keep playing it until they remember it, and then they start mixing it with another part. Then again, if you think about it, when you have it, all of your memories just kind of become one.
Yeah, exactly, and then that one becomes nothing. We listened to the whole 390 minutes of it, and neither of us shut up about it. She had a lot to say, so here she is.
First of all, I have a name. Second of all, I am not emo. And third of all, it is a very cool album, so let's start talking about it.
That's my line!
My channel now. Anyway. Stage 1 gives off World War II vibes with some tranquil piano tracks and other ballroom-esque music that you'd hear at your local dance. To quote the Caretaker here we experience the first signs of memory loss. This stage is like a beautiful daydream, the glory of old age and recollection, the last of the great days.
A1 It's Just a Burning Memory is a song that everyone has heard somewhere before. By far the most recognisable piece on this entire project. Its sample originates from Alboli's Heartaches, which the fandom and us have associated the project to involve some kind of lover or relationship, due to those lyrics being about forgetting a lover's kiss. Keep an ear and eye out for this song because it will reappear at least once in every stage, as Jess pointed out on our listen.
Wait, the first song's twice in this?
Which was also a great decision on my part, as the girl who always listens to lyric music being this observant was wild. The second song is also nothing special. It's a twinkly little piano melody that loops on and eventually echoes off. Side note, when listening to any of these tracks, you may notice the grainy, warm quality and the constant misty noises of vinyl crackle just underneath the song that plays. It's barely noticeable with our generation being obsessed with lo-fi music, which is often being pulled straight out of the vinyl kind of feel. This ambience is barely there, but you will become accustomed to it as time goes on. Late Afternoon Drifting follows that exact same structure of soft piano notes and melody, and this is where you need to take a moment to acknowledge the song titles. They feel very old in themselves and very self-aware. It's almost like the Caretaker is writing the song titles and making them with his own personal attributions to his feelings or thoughts. In this case, Late Night Afternoon Drifting almost sounds and feels like it's an elderly person drifting off to sleep in the middle of the afternoon. There's not much to note in every song, so I'm going to try and make this quick. Childly Fresh Eyes feels young and overjoyous, much like a nostalgic memory from childhood. And in Slightly Bewildered, this is where I draw your attention back to the song titles. Take notice of how the music is creepy and muffled, with a name such as Slightly Bewildered. It almost feels like foreshadowing for many other songs, such as Quiet Internal Rebellions, which sounds like memories of someone fighting in war, and My Heart Will Stop in Joy, which is basically a 40s love letter. Also acknowledge the reference to hearts and love, the loves of my entire life. Like previously said about A1, there has been a theoretical love interest speculated in the Caretaker story, with many of these titles mainly backing that up, but alas, who knows.
The stage 1 cover is probably the least confusing out of the bunch, which makes sense, being that at this stage none of the confusion or madness has truly kicked in yet, so it's pretty easy to read. The artwork looks like a rolled up piece of paper, but much like the music, the meaning is much deeper than just paper with no words. The paper has a crumpled edge. This represents the life of the Caretaker as of now, with slight decay developing. If you can see, it almost looks as though the paper is trying to connect back to the other side, the roll that appears sturdy and well placed. This is the life prior to any kind of Alzheimer's or memory loss. It's reaching and desperately trying to cling on to its past life, but it's unable to get it so far and just wears and tears instead. Many songs in stage 1 just sound old, like there's no way to put it. Old and slow, yet still full of joy and happiness. They're jolly, and slowly we will lose that. The second stage is a self-realization and awareness that something is wrong, with refusal to accept that. More effort is made to remember, so memories can be more long-form, with a little more deterioration in quality. The overall personal mood is generally lower, and at a point before confusion starts setting in. In this stage, it becomes a lot clearer the patient is slowly facing the horror of knowing they have dementia. That makes songs a lot more dramatic, such as Denial Unraveling, where canonically the Caretaker is diagnosed. The song starts happy and lively, yet devolves into this terrifying orchestral crescendo, which takes over the false joy in the track. Like someone said in the comments of the song, this one is especially creepy and unnerving. Just the way it so perfectly captures the feeling of trying to ignore a problem as it festers just beneath the surface. How the individual can be happy for the moment while knowing deep down they won't escape. As for the other songs, that grainy fuzz has only gotten worse, with the opening track sounding like a motor struggling to boot up, and these somber strings that are delicately played just sound miserable and old. The mood is just low and lazy, and way less bustling and hopeful. It's like the Caretaker is sat there in denial of all that's happening or going to happen to him. Remember A1, well, it reappears here. Doesn't matter how many times my heart breaks. This is when I think we should establish the Caretaker's lover. This song might be representing a lover or a memory of a lover, but in this case we're going to say it's the lover coming back to the patient here and there as someone he still can process. Just this time it's almost saddening with how old and worn out it is. The mood is so unbelievably drained out of the person that it just doesn't feel as prideful anymore as it did in stage 1. Glimpses of Hope in Trying Times is also one of the terrifying tracks that play within this stage. It sounds like its composition on its own is just screaming with the overwhelming orchestral mess and the dissonance that kicks in every time it crescendos. I think it's safe to say that stage 2 is the mental hell of accepting a dark way ahead. Not the actual dementia, but at this point just the thought of what is bound to happen to them.
So I lended all the artwork stuff to Jess, but this was mainly my theory, so I have permission to cover this. This album has a plant pot with these 4 protruding flowers stretching out of it, and whilst the picture alone looks old, I believe this plant to represent the core memories that have no structure to cling on to. I believe this is where the patient can remember certain events but not know where or what order or what thing led to them. We're going to use the term dream state or dreamlike because much like a dream, you're placed into a scenario with no memory or structure of getting there. To look into the messy flower pot, at first it looks odd and contorted in a fashion we can't understand, yet on a closer look you can make out people. This could be the caretaker's family, trying desperately to hold on to these core memories no matter what, but at the end of the day, it's hopeless really. They're all bound to disappear sooner or later.
Stage 3 is super loud and opens up with a song that just sounds like the previous orchestra on crack. The delay, the reverb, everything is just so turned up to the max in it. To be honest, when I first heard this, I thought it was another alteration of A1, but Dex assured me it was different. Yeah, I think that's because he's a little bit slow.
I'm a what?
It's funny, because the song that follows this up is undeniably, it's just a burning memory, but now things are happy. It's almost like the caretaker is slowly losing awareness, yet is blissfully happy by this point. Songs bear such joy and overwhelming nativity that it truly makes you think, God, what on earth is about to happen next for this song to be so suspiciously happy? It kinda, in a way, creeps you out because unlike the previous stages, this one begins to deteriorate as it progresses. One song that got me and Dex talking a lot was a short track by the name of Hidden Sea Buried Deep. And this is my theory, not his. It sounds like someone reliving the same experience and thing over and over with a new alteration each time, yet it always never seems to go anywhere. For instance, to take this literally, it's a piano player forgetting their piece and just endlessly playing the part they know, hoping something will come of each new note they can remember. Much like what real dementia would have done to any skill at this point.
Oh yeah, so Oki said it was cool.
Wait, what about Haycock?
While Jess rehabilitates Hedgehog, I've got to talk about how much I love this stage. It's probably my joint favourite with another one, which I'll reveal later. It just has that charm and joy to it, unlike all of the others, yet the decline of the caretaker's mind towards the final song, which is burning memory, but I'll just let the track explain. It's falling asleep. This once bustling memory, the lover we mentioned before, is losing a battle downwards into the caretaker's mind. It sounds like the track has lost ashore, drowning in pieces, trying to fix itself. It's dreamy and odd and contorted in style, but before you know it, it's over, and you realise just what it was foreshadowing. There are some random ambient tracks with devoid noise and emptiness on this record, for instance Aching Cavern Without Lucidity, which literally sounds like nothing. There is also a strange music box on here with E7. Keep that in mind, it might reappear. Who knows? This is my favourite stage, and La Bête Delay is my favourite song. I love this.
Here I am again, this time for world domination. Nah, just kidding. Let's dive into the cover here. It's one of the most elusive ones. So remember the plant from stage 2? This is it now, sprouted into a full-grown tree, entangled everywhere, much like the multitudes of memories the caretaker has, all merging together in a big mess that the pot can't physically hold back anymore, and our eyes just see it as a big green blob. It's at this point where the memories are slowly intertwined and messed up, but what happens in the later stages creates the same effect, even worse.
Well, at this point, you're left on a cliff. As the final track fades out, you barely have any time to process what could be ahead. And then, Stage 4 kicks in. The transition from Stage 3 to Stage 4 is, without a joke, the most brutal experience you will ever have, because it's so abrupt and almost jumps out at you like a jump scare. Post-Awareness Confusions 1, or G1 for short, is a 21-minute noise-grinding piece that buries all previous melody underneath horrifying, screaming trumpets and wind chimes that just sound all mutilated and chopped apart on top of the thing. It also appears to have this unsettling ringing noise that fluctuates louder and louder like a train making its horrific screeching noises towards the tracks in a nightmarish fashion. That feeling of being stood there on the tracks, hearing the train belt towards you, hearing the horns, seeing the lights, knowing where it's headed. It's daunting and terrifying to hear those blaring lights dashing towards you around 4 minutes and 19 seconds into the track, knowing that there is still 4 hours left of this. 4 hours that will only get worse as it progresses. As the track continues, it dives down into the static, almost like the train has picked a different route. But this comfort won't last. Those sounds will return. Post-Awareness Confusions 2 kicks you more into those strange, otherworldly trumpet noises that just unnerve you and get under your skin. They go on whistling and making these horrific noises until it abruptly changes. The panning static noise has become more of a grainy snow layering on top of the song's world. And then, the most well-known and horrific noises begin to play. Whether it's sirens, a bomb, a memory, a hallucination, it speaks to you. And you know about it. It screams into the never-ending, hurtling sounds of the track that scream back at it and haunt the listener in a bizarre, discomforting fashion. These have been come to known as the Hell Sirens. Many people state that they believe these sounds to be PTSD memories of war, but on the other end, I don't agree. It wouldn't make sense, it just wouldn't add up. Remember the lover? We said that lover was represented by A1. Now here's my theory. Mournful camaraderie was that lover getting ill, and the Hell Sirens is the death of said lover, and the fact that one of the only people the patient even remembers or recognizes is gone. It's haunting and shows just how far down the way is, and that these things aren't going to get better. Temporary Bliss State is a song that, taken upon its own, sounds like actual hell, but after the first two tracks, God, it feels so relieving to hear. It's a 21-minute song that sounds like a jukebox being tackled by dissonant grinds that push it down into the layers of fuzzy static that breaks apart the melody it's trying to play. Much like something trying to piece itself back together again, but also succumbing to the noise. By far, this is the closest thing I draw my description to for F8, but oh my word, this one has way more emotional pain to it and is tragically depressive in the way it plays. This is a song that makes me bawl hard, and I believe one of the reasons this is because of the setup towards the track. The first two post-awareness confusion tracks feel big, massive, and daunting for a listener, where the weight is forced upon you in a terrifying way with these overbearing and horrifying soundscapes that crush and force themselves upon you like an aggressive wave. It almost gives you no time to take all that in, and in return takes those feelings and changes them away from you every 5 seconds, paralyzing you in horror with this ever-changing tide pulling you one place then the other. No room to breathe, no room to swim. This song is the oasis, a song that comforts you and lets you let it all out, whilst also serving as the riptide in the same storm, pushing you under and pulling you back up. The melody is essentially drowning, trying to stay together but falling back into the current and struggling to keep up, like it's fighting to stay alive and together. Think of the image I just presented to you as the jukebox melody playing, and the ravaging storm as the garbled static noises cutting up that pieces of the harmony and overpowering it here like there's an ever-changing wave crashing upon it, yet it's desperately trying to cling on to whatever air is left in the tempest. Much like the patient at this point, sure it's bliss, but they're desperately holding on to more than they can get.
Temporary bliss state is a term for the patient finally finding bliss amongst their condition. This is when they become so unaware they fall into a state of peace and happiness. This unironically happens to be usual when loved ones are around, even when they can't remember them. I think this state is that lover, the last memory that keeps the patient happy. Even if they don't know of the lover, they feel at comfort and at peace when among them. Back to the art. Stage 4 brings us the disgusting muddy palette of a dark blue, browns, and green yellows. I don't typically look into the colours, but for this stage I will. The disgusting browns are the post-awareness confusion tracks. The mess that is ruining the Caretaker as we know it. The blues are a lot more pleasant, much like the I1, the blue is the bliss. The person could be anyone. It's undisclosed to be honest, but there has been theories of it being the girl with the pearl earrings, which I can see. This then leads into the final track of this stage, J1. J1 is the most peaceful this project will get for a long time. The track starts with these sad, defeated trumpets, yet fades on into this gliding synth drone. By now the patient is completely phased. They're almost half asleep in a deep trance that's unbreakable. The sheer pain and hell of G1, H1 and I1 is over, and now they feel like nothing, like the song, an empty drone with little semblance of previous confusions. To be honest, this song is more blissful to hear than temporary bliss, which puts into perspective that even in bliss state, nothing compares to the feeling of being unconscious or unaware, not even your own happiness or whatever fake happiness is left. Stage 5 is the stage that me and Dex ultimately agreed is by far the most terrifying, especially the first song, Advanced Play Entanglements is God. Just listen to it. It's the gruesome mess of songs, vocals, clips, just everything, and the most terrifying part, which I noticed, might I add, was the voices. There are so many unintelligible, garbly vocals in this industrial mess of sound that is pulled straight from Audio Satan. It's seasoned off with these gory fucking grinds that whir along abrasively, creating its grungy, dirty sound. There are these whistles too. They almost sound like dissonant birds tweeting over the layers of sound being played, much like eerie trumpets in G1, for example. One thing I do have to say is there is a striking moment in this track which took me by complete surprise on my first listen. Around 3 minutes in, a real piano begins to play. Clarity. Dementia patients can have moments of lucidity where, if only for a brief moment, everything goes back to normal. And this moment in time is one of them. However, when taking any look about this moment in the fandom, you'll find the "was it a dream" theory. People believe this moment is the caretaker waking from a nightmare, suggesting the whole thing to be a dream, which I call bullshit, because there's still like 3 bloody hours left. How could it be a dream if there's still a whole thing to run over? To be honest, the dreamlike memories and blurriness and fuzziness the patient is experiencing does mean the moments like these will have them questioning if it was all a dream. So it adds up. Okay, sit back, we got a lot to talk about here. The sound file alone is packed to the brim with sounds in the left channel, right channel and center, with all kinds of samples packed in the gang. This is where the hunt for music becomes hard. Unlike stage 4, now there isn't layers of sound over a song. The sounds are the song. There is no music anymore. It's just noise, so much overbearing noise that it makes stage 4 feel lonely on its sonic palette. There is no melody. The harmony, on the other hand, is the spirally trip down and downwards. I love that in this track, the voices are what stand out to me truly, because there is no vocals or lyrics in Everywhere at the End of Time. So interpreting these human-esque noises is fun to try. See, the theory I brewed up, yes, I'm a witch now, get over it, Dexter, I'm not Luna.
Why?
The theory I got here is that this is the doctors or family of the caretakers trying to reach out to them, but the caretaker has reached the point where he can't understand words at all. Most people don't make it past stage 5. It's at this stage where people begin to forget how to talk, how to walk, how to smile, how to eat, and by the end of the stage, they no longer have any control and revert back to infancy, forgetting how to go to the toilet and stuff. Yes, I know, it's unpleasant, but we need to talk about these things. Advanced Plague Entanglement sequel is sweeper and muggier than its predecessor, so it's practically maddening to hear because you're stuck listening to a piece that you won't play, trying over and over to play. That feeling of being on train tracks reappears here with the backing sound sounding like wind through a tunnel. Synapse Retrogenesis. All I gotta say for this is what this odd name actually means. Synapse retrogenesis is a theory that around a certain point in stage 5, the brain develops backwards, back to a child like I mentioned earlier. While it is just a theory, there is so much evidence to show its effects are real. And the final track, N1, remains to be a hot take, I know. The scariest track on the entire record. The beginning is just heart-stopping. It's like a scream from the dark abyss with this terrifying upwards climb in trumpets and static, which has so much dissonance it just makes your blood curdle. And these occasional pathetic violins to bring the hair-raising quality to the track, along with the entire stage. It's all terrifying. Now here's what I've been waiting for, my very own analysis on the Stage 5 artwork. Listen up, because I'm really proud of this. Stage 5's art has confused many people at first. Like, first off, is that a lady? Is that a blob? Is that a set of stairs leading to my downfall? Well, I don't look at this art literally. I look into what it represents. As the stairs, I do look at that quite literally. The stairs is like life beforehand. It's basically what it is in stage 1. So it's quite sturdy and not much is really going on. But I also see the second set of stairs, and I see that as the lover of the caretaker. It's like she is in their life, but where it cuts off, it's them becoming distant. Maybe from the lover dying or them separating. They clearly aren't as close as they used to be. As for the second part of the piece, which is like a bubble almost coming off the stairs, I see that as stage 2, where they have been diagnosed, but it hasn't really affected them yet. You can tell this by it is quite compacted and there aren't many holes or tears in it. The third part of the piece, which looks like a fan or a seashell, I see that as stage 3. It's almost like the memories have been separated, as you can see by the lines, but it's also becoming less clear as to what they are. The part of the image which looks like a lady is stage 4. I like how this part also looks like a person, because in stage 4, you are beginning to forget people. You can also tell the different parts of stage 4. You can see the wear and tear in this person. Where the leg of the lady is also connecting back to the lover. And as we stated previously, this is the temporary bliss in stage 4. The memory of the lover is making caretaker happy for once. Moving on to the fifth part. This is obviously stage 5. It's very, very dark and it looks very gloomy and deteriorated. This is all because they have no motor skills left. Bottom of the stairs would be representing when the caretaker was a baby and an infant, resembling where it's resorted back to the infant stage and can't hold on to anything or can't do anything which a normal person should be able to. Finally, the cane of death, stage 6. There's nothing to see here. I am so proud of this. Seriously, Dexter has watched God knows how many videos on this and done so much research, and these comments are filled with people who are scientists in their 30s and stuff, who know loads about this condition, and I am just a teenage girl, that's it. I went into this completely blind and came up with this entire thing. As for stage 6, many people look at this and see a blank canvas, and to that I say, why does it have hinges then? What's up with that? In my eyes, this is a door to death, a door with no handle, where we, the viewer, are unable to see the other side. And maybe we will only ever see what's behind that door when it's our time to go.
Post-awareness stage 6 is without description. We did it, I got all 3!
Dinosaur, wow. You're welcome for this trauma that I have just given you. I only got 8 eggs back.
Right, I know that's the point of the music, this point in time, but it sounds like a goddamn old person.
I've gotten 2 deaths from 1 egg.
I killed a dude.
Just killed a woman, feeling good.
Just killed a man. I'm not gay. It's weird because I'm gonna basically just play a game where I'm gonna see if I can guess any of these samples.
I don't think you would. I think you would just think, oh, it's
just someone
weird music.
I'm doing what I said I wouldn't do.
you're looking at it.
Yes, I am. I need to turn off the screen and just let it play.
We've already listened to it for an hour.
Yeah. One more hour and it's gonna sound like hell. That's fun.
Red won this round. Fuck off. Anyway.
I'm literally just gonna stand here and just stare at him. What the fuck is happening to this song? Are you hearing this?
Hmm?
Are you hearing this?
Yeah.
The song just went all weird. This music is so sad.
This music's gonna be playing in the background whilst I'm going. Fuck.
D1, I feel as though I am still me. This song reminds me of my grandma.
I only have 4 kills. I killed more people than 4.
Oh no, it's the Denial song.
Apparently, right, you know how it's only the old people that are getting them? Apparently it could have been something that people were, like, having on a daily basis, or doing on a daily basis.
Stage 3. Stage 3, this is my favourite. Someone said that this song is on crack, because it sounds like it's on crack.
It's the guy that was flirting with me, and there was, like, 2 people, like, fighting over me, right? And then I'm just gonna leave the game and they'll never see me again.
So you know in history, or just any old day where you watch like this really old tape or something, when you watch this old army video, this is just kind of the vibe.
Wait, the first song's twice from this?
To me this sounds like it's got anxiety. I don't know why. It sounds like someone's nervous about something. Oh yeah, someone came up with an interpretation for this song. It's just a piano going down and down and down.
It's like when you're trying to learn a song on piano, for instance.
Yeah, that's what
you just replay the exact same part.
Yes, that's what it sounds like. That's a good point. I've never acknowledged it like that.
It's like you're trying to learn it for yourself, but you aren't ever gonna actually fully do it. It is literally someone learning a song. They just keep playing it until they remember it, and then they start mixing it with another part. But like, if you listen to it, it's not an actual loop. It's that they add one note each time.
What?
Just them trying to remember it and learn it. Like, the music's just representing their memories.
Right, so I'm gonna teach you something really weird about the song names. See, in my opinion, this is my headcanon right now, is that the lore of the story, right? It's that piano being played, right? But it's just that one note, right? Which is them trying to remember one memory, and then that one note suddenly becomes their entire world. And they can't remember it, and there's so many notes being played, but you can't hear a single one. We really went from stage 1 and stage 2 where we just didn't give a shit, and now we're just kind of really going into a dissection of this. Oh, this song's creepy.
You find, like, nursery rhyme type songs creepy?
I do. I don't like. The only reason I don't like them is because I think every time I play a music box, I've got to keep it playing, otherwise the puppet will attack me. They all sound like the same fucking song.
Then again, if you think about it, when you have it, all of your memories just kind of become one.
Yeah, exactly, and then that one becomes nothing. Think of this stage as that one.
Yeah, that's literally what is going on.
Yeah, that's so trippy.
Hello.
Hello.
Right, we want to make a boat and we just
sail away, yeah.
Get in. There's only one right way to sail a boat in Minecraft, third person.
Can we not sleep just to make it a bit more creepy? This is fun.
I can't sing.
Do you know what? Someone said a good point about this song. Do you know what it sounds like?
What?
Trumpets with their heads chopped off. Oh, this is getting weird. Song, I can hear the first song. Only just. It's so hard, but I heard ever so slightly I could hear it. We've come to the point where it's like the first song just doesn't even sound like music anymore. We're 17 minutes in and it's just this.
So this part's the post-awareness confusion.
Yeah, this is post-awareness confusion state 1 or whatever the fuck. See what I mean when I said it was painful to listen to?
I kinda wanna look through the comments.
What? Yeah, you can look through the comments.
I kinda wanna look through the comments.
Trust me, look through the comments. If it makes it scary, that's better.
The fact that you can buy this on vinyl and play it on a record player is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, you can, apparently. I think this stage is the hardest for me to listen to them all. It's so distorted and ugly sounding at parts. But there's always an element that brings you back to listen where things were least pleasantly saddening in the past stages. It made me feel like my life was being slowly ripped out of me. I love this stage, but in a lot of ways I absolutely hate it. I needed a long break before listening to stage 5 and 6.
I would stand in front of her while she sat on the couch and we'd toss a ball back and forth to each other and just talk about whatever. I think she was in her temporary bliss state. This was several years ago. I don't like to think about how bad she must be now. I hadn't thought about her again all that much until I listened to Everywhere at the End of Time. Now I can't stop thinking about her. Edit. Turns out she was my great-grandma's sister. We were family and I didn't know all this time. I'm losing my goddamn mind right now. This is nuts. Funny how life works. I'll definitely never forget her now. My lost great-great-aunt.
Babe, we're nearly at Hell Sirens.
Yep. That does make me a little bit uncomfortable.
In my opinion, the most emotional and most fucking distraught bit for me is Temporary Bliss State, which is the next song. I'm gonna cry.
Isn't this temporary bliss state?
Yes, this is the happiness they have left. This is what they feel. This is their bliss. I love this song.
Are you okay? You okay?
So, there's a theory going around that the story in this of the Caretaker, right? That the Caretaker is either a man or a woman, right? And they have a husband or a wife, right? And that's why in the first stage there's so many songs referencing love, and there's a sample of an Eddie something song, right, from the 30s called Heartaches, right? And the lyrics of Heartaches, so you know the first song that ever plays, so stage 5.
That's just weird.
Yeah, this is what you're gonna have to listen to for the next 2.5 hours. Also, if you listen closely, there will be a bit where a piano starts playing, but it will be the most clear thing ever. Piano! What the fuck? Do you hear that?
Someone compared this to also being like panic attacks.
Stage 4 was the build-up to the panic attack, and stage 6 is after the panic attack, when you're just kind of like trying to process what happened.
Yeah, I know. You can feel how much the protagonist is trying to remember Heartaches. This album is brutal. Less people look through the comments on these ones because there's less likes on the comments.
Yeah, I agree. Stage 6 will have the most comments by far. And I know I'm saying that as if I'm hyping up stage 6, but to be honest with you, I should hype up stage 6 because it's literally death. That's why listening to it with like you, for example, was a good decision, because not only are you good at like looking into the whole thing, it's more a case of like you know the brain and shit as well, and it's one of those things. Also, funnily enough, all of the emotions people get from this album are emotions experienced by the people with dementia, because they develop like a weird schizophrenia type thing.
I think of the voices halfway through the track as their family trying to reach them.
I think it's the people looking after them, trying to get them to do fucking anything.
I think that's the scarier one, but then the sadder one is like, this is their family trying to reach them whilst they still can, but it's not working.
Each stage has like a signature like kind of sound. On the stage 4, it was the sound of the trumpets, where it was like that weird noise of the trumpets, right? Those were trumpets. Those were pretty obvious they were trumpets. But now, it's this fucking whistling noise.
You have like the wind as well. See, the thing is, with me, I'm thinking about all these things like just off the top of my head, because you've been influenced by like other people talking about them, sort of thing.
Yeah, and also shit I've read.
Because you've watched other videos about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've watched videos, you've read stuff.
You're going in blind.
Going onto this. I haven't watched anything. I haven't really learnt anything about it. I am purely just thinking about all of these things just off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's quite impressive, to be honest with you. I can't feel my foot.
You can't feel your foot? Why are you singing?
I don't fucking know.
Why am I
Hell
singing?
Sirens! See, like that person said on the comment, right? Our brains are now adjusted to hearing this fucking horrifying noise, so it's just weird to hear everything else. These are the last words said by the Caretaker about any of the albums on this project. And just that alone is morbidly terrifying. Let's set the scene for stage 6. You are decaying, withering away in a darkness that only gets darker and more gritty as you stay alive for longer. People don't exist. Places don't exist. Your food, your personality, your life, your family, your experiences, none of it exists anymore. It's all been torn away from you in a confusion so thick you forget forgetting. Remember A1? The lover's death and the hell sirens? The lover in general? Well, now I pose to you a statement. What if the lover was never even alive to begin with? I mean, stage 1 titles reference a forgotten or lost spouse, so maybe she wasn't really here with us at all, until now, when we are nothing but broken and twisted upon death's doorstep. Nowhere to turn, no place to run, nowhere to know, no way to even remember the experience that got us here. Heck, try and hum any other song than A1, because by now, you can't. It's all gone. All of it. Brutal Bliss is the last cry of a dying soul, a plea for death. A 21-minute track that has an ominous drone playing with an overwhelming gallop of foggy static that stabs its way through to punch the listener back down whenever they get any kind of hope of things getting better. All is lost and nothing exists. The pain is brutal, but it only persists. But now... Long Decline is one of my personal favourite songs of this entire project. It's a 20-minute drone with occasional piano jump scares that will make you jolt, and foggy, defeated synth soundscapes that give off one of, if not the darkest vibes on the entire thing. The Long Decline is over. Just that name alone sounds disturbing, heartbreaking, and even terrifying to hear. But this track does have hope. The lover, A1, plays in the background, like the land after a brutal war. Around now it appears that the lover and the Caretaker might be reunited soon. You can already hear her now. And the final track. Every fan and every person I know wants me to talk about the final song of this project, because it is eye-opening. It's a drone of the darkness the whole album has been drenched in, all fadey and misty, rolling away. But then, an organ begins to play. The organ persists, like the Caretaker has finally broken out. He has died and is ascending to whatever land is next, whatever afterlife may exist, until the track cuts. And we're pulled straight back down to earth as the sample begins to play. A sample that's the most heavy thing on this entire record, on this entire journey. It's a harmony, a beautiful choir of angelic voices, a funeral. The Caretaker is gone, the misery's over, and whilst we heard a bit of his ascension to the afterlife, we can't hear any more while we still live. Much like the door, maybe we will only know when it's our time to go as well. Final song is one which I highly anticipated and feared. I mean, everyone cries at how scary and sad it is, but when I finally made it, it was nothing to fear. In fact, I realised it was joyful to hear. Beautiful in the sense that it was such an amazing thing to experience after battling the sounds for 4 hours. It was so bittersweet, and unlike anything else in my life, it showed me that death isn't scary. Many of us live thinking that we want to keep ourselves and our loved ones alive for as long as possible, and we would do anything to extend the time we have with people. But what people never seem to get is that death is a release from struggling to some people, and it's only those who suffer heavily who seem to understand that. Death is wanted in those conditions, and Everywhere at the End of Time puts you in that same perspective. You want that ending, you can't stand the noise, and at the first few stages you fear it, but by the end you accept it and let it happen, and it feels amazing. That's why I love this album. It can really open your eyes, get people talking, and help you have a new perspective to grief and death. It's not just music. It's an experience beyond time, space, memory, and the peaceful closure of death. Which is why the name is so fitting. Because even at the end of the story, you're still everywhere at the end of time. Thank you for watching.